What's up, blogs? All right, I got a question actually on the video I did about, I think that it was the one on, is it bad to be a 27-year-old virgin? And one of the commenters had said that he was basically sick of himself. Like he's losing faith with himself. He said he struggled with laziness all his life, trying everything that seems to work. He has a self-diagnosis of ADHD. And he says that, I tried living with no excuses in 22 and 23, and all I created was a douchebag that beat me up when I wasn't perfect, even tempted to be lazy. So he said, I want to know what it takes to cure laziness. Is it a system that I stick with, or is it me that needs to change, for example? And this is interesting. I think, this is something that I still struggle with to this day. I think everybody struggles with this, right? I don't think anyone really has this completely solved, because this is a battle that you're always going to have to fight, right? I really like the book, The War of Art. Let me grab it. By Stephen Pressfield for a couple of reasons. So the main reason why I really connected with this book, and I highly recommend you read this book. It's such a good read, and it's pretty short, is because it made me not feel alone. I think it's a really interesting concept of not feeling alone, right? One of my friends commented, he sent me a message on Instagram, and he was talking about how he really connected with some of my videos, the last videos, especially the stuff I was talking about a divorce, and some of the things that I was saying that that he went through that he could relate to, and he was saying that the biggest thing was not feeling alone. Right, feeling like someone else is going through this as well. And when I read The War of Art, it made me realize that procrastination, laziness, this resistance, as Stephen Pressfield calls it, it's a battle that everyone fights. It's not just me. It's not just me that can't just sit down and get my work done and do what I'm supposed to be doing, right? And again, it's not that I haven't been able to conquer this at times, but I still fall back, right? And I think one of the things that he says in this book that's really cool is he gives this analogy of going out on a hunt. And he says, I wake up in the morning, I gotta, I climb up the mountain, there's dew on the grass, right? I've got my gun or my spear or whatever it is. And I'm going after the rabbit, right? It's like every day he has to wake up and fight the battle anew. He has to kill that meat and bring it home, and it starts over the next day. And when he's going back to sleep, he's steeling his resolve against the next day when he knows he'll have to face it again. And that is the thing. He's like, you're never going to conquer laziness. You can build discipline. You can build things like courage, but you can't conquer laziness. Now, what you can do, okay, is a couple of things, all right? So the first thing is that you can have a system, right? You are only as good as your system. This is always true. And this is where I've fallen off lately, right? I have a system. I have a really good system that I use in Kanban flow, and and I've shown people the system, and I teach this system, right? If you're interested, also I have a complete course on the system in my Well That Never Runs Dry financial freedom program, which is obviously a lot more than just that system. But if you are interested, just DM me the word YouTube on Instagram. My Instagram is at Bulldog Mindset, and someone from my team will see if it's a good fit for you. But that system, I sort of fell off. I haven't been following it as much. And yeah, I'm getting stuff done, but not as accurately, not as efficiently as I was before. And so, the thing is, when I implement the system, and when I have the system and I have the routine and I know what I'm supposed to do, and I just blindly follow that thing, I will get a ton of stuff done. It is the way to combat laziness. So the answer really is the system. Now, is there a part of you that needs to change as well? Perhaps. I think that, the thing is, though, don't try and change yourself to the point where you're never going to be lazy, because that's just not going to happen. Instead, you just have to take the action. You have to start taking the action of someone who isn't lazy. Like every time, a good example of this is when your alarm goes off in the morning, you can make the choice to immediately jump out of bed, right? You can just make that choice. Now, are you lazy? Are you not lazy? It doesn't even matter, because if you just immediately make the choice to jump out of bed, it doesn't matter if you feel lazy. You aren't lazy, right? And that's the thing. It's like a lot of things in life, it's just a choice that you make, right? We struggle with many things in life. We struggle with our emotions or the things that we believe or doubts that we have or fears that we have, and then we say that it's something that we are the victim of. Like, I can't help this. I have this anxiety. I have this fear. I have this thing. I have this mental block. I have this laziness. When the answer really is that it is a choice that we are choosing to make or not make. Like, when you're being lazy, it's a choice that you're making. And you might blame it on something, or you might say it's part of your disposition, but it's not true, because it's still a choice that you're always making, right? And so that's why if the alarm goes off, then you immediately jump out of bed, you're making that choice. You can't be late. Like, your thoughts or your mind can feel whatever it is, but you've actually taken the action. And so you're beyond that, right? The same thing goes with a lot of things with our anxiety. We can be anxious about a thing, but usually that's because we haven't made a choice. When we've actually made the full choice, when we say, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to be this, I am committed to this thing or this belief or this, then we it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we had the anxiety or if we had because all those things are just things that are going on in your head. Whereas what really matters in the real world is the actions that you take, the words that you say, the things that you do. And so if you can conquer that, then that's really the thing. So don't think about trying to change yourself and saying you're broken or there's something wrong with you because you're lazy. Everybody is in the same boat. Okay. Now there's some other things you can do. I invested in a company that does nootropics. That's really good. It's called Thesis. It used to be called My Formula. You can check them out. It's really, really effective, I find. I experimented recently with some Adderall. Okay, now this is something that I haven't really talked about on this channel because I didn't really want to, but I'm just giving you full disclosure here because I'm totally transparent. And I didn't want to say anything until I'd actually utilized this a little bit. And I was really against ADHD medications for a very long, long time. Okay. What sort of changed my mind was two things. All right. And the first one is I watched an Andrew Huberman podcast where he was talking about ADHD and medications. And all the studies, all the things that he said were pointing to this fact that it actually positively changes your brain permanently. And I know a lot of people are going to argue against this, and I get it because I was one of them. But the science that he showed and the papers that he showed after many years, like 20, 30 years of research on this and actual results, that it could actually train your brain to focus better even without the medication. And there's a lot of reasons why this works. I mean, this is increasing your dopamine and your norepinephrine, right? And this is the primary mechanism. But so that kind of comes to me to like, well, maybe give this a little bit of try. Maybe, and again, I'm against crutches. I am against crutches, right? I do think that you need to develop a system. You need to develop discipline. You need to do that first. But however, one of the things that was plaguing me, which maybe is plaguing you too, is I was just super depressed. And most of the depression was coming from the fact that I was not on top of what I was supposed to do. And it's because I didn't have the motivation. And part of it is my drive started to disappear because I'd achieved the things. And so, yeah, so I was really struggling with this. And then the other thing that really kind of convinced me to try this out and to continue this is that I did the video and I talked about how I'm sleepy all the time. And I realized maybe I do have some kind of form of narcolepsy because I really worked on my sleep. I would get 8-9 hours of sleep, get really high sleep scores. And then every time I'm driving in the car, every time I'm sitting somewhere, I'm just falling asleep. I'm just just so tired. Right. And so I tried all the kind of things, but then, I took an Adderall and wow, it's like, wow, is this what normal people feel like, is to not be sleepy all the time? Amazing. Right. And so again, I appreciate your opinion if you say, oh, well, John, you shouldn't do that. That's not, no. But, to give a little bit of an account of how I'm doing this, I'm not overdoing it. I'm taking a little bit. I'm only taking it on focus days, which is 4, sometimes 5 days a week, sometimes 3 days a week, but no weekends, right? So only as it's helpful in not forming a attachment addiction to that. And I'm finding that even on days when I don't take it, I'm able to function better now, right? So and part of it is because now I feel better, right? And actually, what's interesting is maybe I have some kind of dopamine issue because I started feeling a lot happier, which is interesting, right? So that's a good thing. So anyway, yeah, I'm against crutches. Obviously, I've talked about this a lot, but it also came to this point where I was like, yeah, no, and I thought about this, for the last 10 years or so, I kicked a lot of ass, right? I made 50 something pluralsight courses. I became a millionaire. I wrote several books. I made podcasts and YouTube videos and grew a channel and all kinds of stuff. I mean, ran ultra marathons and got in shape, like all kinds of stuff, right? Just freaking, crazy amount of stuff. However, while I was doing a lot of that stuff, or most of that stuff, I was basically acting like a robot. I was forcing myself to do it. I wasn't happy doing it. I didn't enjoy the process, really. Like, it was like, I must do this because I'm a piece of shit if I don't do this. And that's not really the difference when I'm taking the Adderall, again, is that I'm getting the stuff done, but I feel good about getting the stuff done because I want to do it, not because I'm a piece of shit if I don't do it. So that, to me, was like, that kind of made me say, all right, well, be miserable and get shit done, or be happy and get shit done. Again, like I've gone through the battle, right? I fought this for 10 years. Like, it's not going to get much better, right? So when I tried it out and I was like, okay, well, this actually is a pretty significant improvement without any downsides that I can see. It made sense to me. But again, I'm not advocating for this, right? Don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating. I don't think most people should be on medication. I think you should avoid it if possible. But I'm not as opposed to it if it does make sense, right? If you can enhance, and you're not using it as a crutch in the sense that you're willing to do the work, you're willing to create the systems and the routines and put in the effort as well. So getting kind of back to the subject of laziness. Like I said, the main thing is systems, developing systems and sticking to those systems, because that is the same thing as, if you looked at cognitive behavioral therapy to deal with ADHD, that would be the way that works as well. And if you do those things, if you have a system, like I said, you're still only going to be as good as your system. You could take Adderall and not have a system, and you'll get a lot of stupid shit done, or you'll feel like doing stuff and do nothing, or not do anything really productive, right? So you still need a system, right? And again, that's where I'm actually even realizing too. I'm like, okay, what I'm going to do the rest of the day today is get my system in check, ready to go for next week, so I can be right on the system and stick to the system for the rest of this year and see what happens here. So, yeah. It's a struggle, though. Read this book, The War of Art. Also, read Why Willpower Doesn't Work by Benjamin Hardy. That's a really good book. And join us in the Bulldog Mindset membership. I'm going to be rebooting that this year. That's going to be kind of the primary thing. Here, there's a link down below in order to check that out. And like I said, I keep on saying we're going to raise the price. I am, because I am going to change this over and reboot this thing. And that's part of what I'm going to be working on next week. And then also, I do have, I think, maybe one coaching slot left at this point. So if you're interested, you can message me, or you can send me an email, or go to bulldogmindset.com/coaching, and I will see you